move on to our last session of the afternoon in the clinic in total, and excited to be able to talk some special teams with Coach Spiro. And just a real quick introduction for Coach Spiro. Coach Spiro is currently an assistant coach with the Carleton Ravens. He's been involved in football for a long time. A former defensive back for the Concordia Stingers, he has worked for several universities in Canada, as well as coached in the United States with the University of North Dakota, and several guest coaching appearances during NFL training camps. He has also served on coaching staffs for the Quebec provincial team and the Canadian national team in the past. Coach Spiro, thank you very much for taking the time to talk some special teams with us today.
How are you, fellas? Thank you for making me sound so old. And it wasn't North Dakota, it was North Dakota State, because the Bison people would really be upset if they heard that.
My fault, Coach.
Big rivalry. That's a big rivalry, you know. So I appreciate taking the time today to do some football. I really appreciate the time to present. I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm going to present some kickoff drills and show some film. I'm going to present a drill. If there's any questions, fire away. I'll be more than happy to answer anything you guys require. Let's get going. Okay. Can everybody see this?
No.
No? Let me share it. That would help. And then we get going. Now can we see it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's talk about kickoff a little bit, and how to put it together, drill work, and the way I've been, you know, through all my stops, the way I've seen it done, and the most efficient way to do this is, especially on special teams, is first of all to keep things simple, make things fun, and try to use the terminology that they do utilize on defense or offense, because you will be using multiple players, different positions. So you need to be able to take the terminology that they do use on offense and defense and adapt it to your playbook. You know, so kids, you know, you only have a limited amount of time on special teams. So you need to make sure that these kids understand what they're doing and what you want them to do in a very quick time. Okay, so that's one key factor, is the terminology you use. Let's start right away. Some of the performance standards that we require on kickoff. You know, you want to make sure that you tackle the ball carrier, the returner, on the other side of the 30-yard line. That's key. You know, in order to do that, you need some fast players. You need speed on that team. So the first drill that we're going to talk about in a little while is taking, you know, take the line. And I'll explain to you what that is. You know, all 12 players must be within 1 foot and full speed when the ball is kicked. All the players, why we rehearse this is because the players need to understand the kicker's approach. Every kicker you know, has a different approach when they're kicking the ball. So every player that's going to play on kickoff better understand that. And better understand and see the kicker's approach beforehand, before getting in the game. We want to utilize, like punt, we want to make sure that the ball is kicked between sideline and numbers. We want to defend 1/3 of the field. You know, we want to get as much hang time as possible, and we want to kick the ball as deep as possible. You know, not everybody has the same level of kickers, depending on the level, and I could understand that. So, you know what I mean? We've set some standards here for university level, but it could be lower standards depending on whether it's high school or lower. All right. We utilize 4 gunners, sometimes 5, 2 primary contained players, and 2 fold players. And I'll explain all that in a little while. Ball possession is key. Obviously, we want to recover the kickoff. It's a free ball. There's no fair catch. So we want to go after that ball. We want to punch the ball out. We want to rip the ball out, and we want to recover the ball. Or we want a big hit. You know, we want to set the tempo. It's a tempo setter. We want a big hit. We want to make sure we utilize, we show them our ability, and we set the tempo. Again, our philosophy is make sure we want to kick the ball between the sideline and numbers. We want to defend 1/3 of the field. First level, we have our gunners. Our second level, we have our linebackers, and our third level, we have our safeties. All right. Again, we want to make sure that we pin our opponent inside the 30-yard line, and that will greatly reduce the chances of them scoring. You know, we also improve the chances of our defense getting in and out of the football field and forcing a 2 and out, and getting the ball back with positive field position, and therefore improving our chances to score. And we also want to force our opponents to defend different formations on kickoff. You know, you can have a condensed, what we call an accordion, a condensed formation. We can have a 2 bunches, 3 bunch formations, 1 bunch formation. You know, that again takes away time when your opponent is game planning, you know. Now, I tell the kids, the first, you know, when scan the field when you're out there, when you're lined up, scan the field, get your eyes on a swivel, what we call, you know, you need to get your reads, you know, on kickoff, your reads are probably going to be right in front of you. Who's going to block you is going to be right in front of you. So let's talk about the front side 1 right here, the F1. The F1's read, as I put it, is in that green box. It'll probably be the front side tackle, the front side end, or the front side wing who's going to block him. One of those players is going to be assigned to block our front side 1, our front side 2, or our front side 3. So primarily, that's my job to identify. That's the coach's job to identify the scheme, the opponent's scheme. But I always talk to the kids, and I don't refer to keep your head on a swivel. That's an old term that we use, keep your head on a swivel. Well, if you swivel your head, you're not seeing, if you swivel your head to the right, you're not seeing what's on the left. And so the terminology that I use is keep your eyes on a swivel, guys. You know, when you're running downfield, you want to keep your eyes on a swivel. Make sure you identify what's coming at you and who's coming to block you. Okay. Now I've got a little exercise here. And like, again, you need to keep special teams fun. Hey, special teams is special education. That's exactly what I call it. You know, you've got to come at them with everything. You know, you got to draw it for them. You got to walk it with them. You've got to run it with them. And you've got to also entertain them. You know, you got to use colors. You've got to use videos. You've got to entertain these kids. And especially today, the way the kids learn, you've really got to entertain them. You know, so let's look at a quick video here. Can you guys see this?
Coach, you can see the image, but I don't think we can see if it's playing anything right now. You might have to click the link, unshare, and then share the link.
Okay, so you can't see any video right now?
No.
Okay. Sorry, fellas. Let me get this in. How about now? Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, hold on. This is basically what kickoff is, all right? You're on a motorcycle going full speed and you're seeing things, you're using your eyes, you're swiveling your eyes and you're seeing exactly what's coming at you from the sides. So I'll pause the video at any time here and I'll ask the kids, what did you just see on your right-hand side? You know, how about right now on your left-hand side? You know, they've got to be able to identify quickly what's happening around them and not turning the head, turning the eyes. That's, you know, that's what I want to make them understand, that things happen fast on a kickoff. They need to identify who's coming at them and how they're coming at them. Does that make sense? Let me get back to our PowerPoint. Excellent. All right. These are the zones that I want to make sure that the kids understand. The first 20 yards are what we call speed and read zones. All right. So we want to take the line with speed and use our eyes on a swivel to identify who's coming to block us. The next 15 to 20 yards are going to be the avoid zones. We want to avoid everything that's coming at us in this zone. We do not want to take on anything. We do not want to collision anything here. We want to make sure we avoid any blocker with speed as they're coming at us. And the next zone is the collision zone. Well, in this zone, that means that we are nearing the returner and we've identified the return and we cannot avoid anything. We cannot create any lanes. We need to take on, we need to shoot things. And that's a term that I use and I'll explain that to you guys a little later on. We need to shoot any blocker into the returner and stay in our lanes. Make sense? All right. So the first drill that we spoke about is taking the line. So we will line up the first 2 to 3 reps of kickoff. We're not drilling it right now. We are lining it up. We are lining up against our kickoff return team, and we're scheming. We're going through a walkthrough. We want to make sure that we line up our kickoff team and our kicker will take his normal approach, his normal steps, and he will take his approach and he will kick the ball. So we will visualize what his approach is. We will time his approach. And on the next one, we will take the line with him. And we want to make sure coaches are standing on both sidelines. And they want to make sure that when the kicker has contacted the ball, everybody is within a foot to a yard from the line of scrimmage, from the 45-yard line. All right. This is something that we have to stress. This is something that we have to film. And like I said, we want to make sure we're able to take the line with full speed. I'll give you an example of that. Okay, fellas, can you see this?
Yeah.
Excellent. Very simple drill. Here's our kicker. And his approach, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Everybody around him is at the line, at the level, except probably for the backside one, the backside two. All right. You've also got to stress to them that they've got to turn their heads, their eyes, while the kicker is approaching the ball. Their eyes are on him and his steps. All right. You want to take the line full speed. Any questions there with that, gentlemen? No, we're good. Excellent. Next drill that we want to focus on is, as we said, we got our speed zone and read zone. Our next zone will be our avoid zone. So we always want to avoid blockers within the first 40 yards. We never want a collision early. We always want to avoid early. All right. Using feet to avoid blocker, using our eyes to avoid hands during slap and scrape phase. Scrape paint means that we not only rip firm with the forearm, but we also replace. So that's a key word that I use. Scrape paint across his ass. Okay, we're ripping across his ass. But when I use the term scrape paint, means we also need to replace. So if we're gonna avoid off his ass, we do not stay off our lane. We get back into our lane. We replace our lane. All right. When we do attack a potential blocker in the avoid zone, we do not shorten our steps, no baby steps. We eye fixate opposite the direction we are escaping. So if we want to escape off his ass, right, we want to look opposite. We want to make him believe that we are going to escape opposite the direction that we are. So we eye fixate the opposite. We eye fixate the empty space. He hurries up his block. Then we slap and scrape paint off his ass and also get replacement. All right. We will start this process on air. First thing we will do is we're going to line up on yard lines. All right. Or we place dummies. This is going to be mass teaching. We will place dummies, bags, garbage cans, whatever it is, on yard lines. And everybody will go through the drill. Everybody. Mass teaching. And we will place dummies every 10 to 15 yards. And we want to avoid off his ass. All right. We want to avoid right or left since it's going to be bags. And then we want to make sure that we get back on the line. We've used broomsticks. And you know what I mean? To get a good bend. to make sure we rotate the hips, we get a good bend, scrape paint off his ass, avoid off his ass, and then get replacement back on the line. All right. Now, the next phase, we will do it with blockers. And I've seen it done where they use boxing gloves so you can slap, you know what I mean? You can slap the forearm, you can slap the wrist, and then rip by his ass. And then again, get replacement once again. Okay. Let me get a new share. Okay. Can everybody see this? We're good?
Yeah.
Excellent. Here we go. Same drill. We put a blocker on the line. He turns either right or left. The coach who's running the drill will tell the blockers either turn right or turn left, as you see here. And the defender will scrape paint off his ass. See, right here, the first one, he's pretty wide. He didn't get replacement. He didn't scrape paint off his ass and get replacement on the line. All right. We want to make sure we're back on the line and then go on to the second phase of the drill. Okay. Second phase of the drill, we want to talk about shoot drill. The shoot drill is basically when we're shooting in the collision zone. Everything we do in the collision zone, we take on, we use our hands, we get separation. Just like any defensive player will take on a base block, a linebacker will take on any kind of block, or a D lineman. This is, you know, same approach. We start off by teaching them how to shoot on their knees, how to stay low, how to extend the elbows, thumbs to the sky, all the good things we talk about. We want to make sure we hit on the rise, and we want to make sure that we run our feet. Once we get full extension on the blocker, we run our feet, and then we will teach them the shed phase. Once we are in the ball carrier's wheelhouse, then we want to make sure we shed and perform a tackle on the ball carrier. Give me a second here, fellas, and let's get on. Here we go. The second part of this drill here. The first part is an avoid. Okay, scrape paint off his ass. Then you want to make sure you shoot in the collision zone. Now, let's look at this one right here. All right. He's hitting high. No extension of the elbows. No running of the feet. All right. Those are things that we want to make sure we run that blocker right into the ball carrier. He's sloppy with his avoid. He doesn't get replacement. All right. We want to be violent with our shoot. That's why I call it shoot. We want to make sure we're violent with the hands. We want to make sure we drive him. We drive with full extension of the elbows, thumbs to the sky, and we are looking through the V of the neck. All right. Once we key the ball carrier, once we have identified the ball carrier, we want to shed and perform either a profile or a shimmy tackle. We've seen it, you know, I mean, I've done this drill exactly from starting point from the knees. And then as you see here, all right, we teach them how to shed full extension right here. I've done it with PVC tubing. I've done it with bags. I've done it with shoulder pads, with a shirt over, just to teach them how to shoot. And here we teach them how to shed violently. Once we run the feet, we'll get some resistance from the blocker. Once we feel that resistance, we can shed him violently. All right. And carry on our tackle. The other thing I want to talk about in the collision zone is how to take on a wedge. I know we're not allowed, I don't believe we're allowed to wedge anymore at the lower levels. All right, but we never want to take on a wedge. We never want to get trade 1-for-1. We always want to hit gaps. We always want to penetrate. We always want to make ourselves skinny. And you know, guys ask me, what hand do we rip through that wedge? What hand do we want to rip through the hole, coach? Dominant hand, whatever you feel comfortable with, whether it's your right, whether it's your left hand. So we want to make sure that we dip and rip with the inside hand or the outside hand. And then we want to make sure we get replacement off our blocker. Okay, that makes sense? Good. You can make it a competitive drill where you can have a gauntlet drill, a little bit of what they're doing here, but this is more of a teach drill. We can have it more competitive where they're really trying to block you, where they're really trying to cut you off at the first level. And once you've escaped the first level, we can really have a base blocker, and we can really shoot the blocker and shed him and fit up on the run on the ball carrier right behind it. Okay. Next drill that we want to talk about is cross blocks. All right, and this will happen again in the avoid phase. If we have a key blocker in front of us disappear, going opposite of us, all right, it's not that he make sure you keep your eyes on a swivel, because it's not like he's letting you go. He's setting you up either for a trap block or a cross block. All right. That means he's going opposite and somebody from the opposite direction is coming down on you. So this is what I call a cross block, as you see here. All right. So that's why we have to keep our eyes on a swivel. Once our key defender disappears opposite direction, all right, keep our eyes on a swivel. Make sure we identify the new blocker that's coming for us. And again, Do not panic. We want to make sure we use our avoid technique. We want to scrape paint off his ass. If he's coming from our right side, all right, we want to make sure we scrape paint off his ass towards the right. And again, we get back into our lane and we get replacement. And again, this is going to be coached up exactly as this. We're going to put 3 potential blockers 10 yards apart, 15 yards apart in 5-yard increments. We are going to run right down the middle. Our middle blocker is going to disappear to our right or to our left. And whatever direction that blocker disappears to, the other blocker will come down on us. All right. And we have to perform an avoid technique, get back in our lane and place a ball carrier right behind them and finish with a shimmy tackle or a profile tackle. All right. As I say it, when we scrape paint technique, we always want to use a chop cross technique, meaning we're going to chop his forearm, chop his wrist with our opposite hand, rip off his ass and get back into our lanes. All right. Trap block. Trap block is, he is coming, same drill basically. A trap block is, he is coming from the opposite direction where our key blocker is disappearing. That means same drill. If our blocker disappears to our right, we keep our eyes on a swivel. If our next potential blocker is coming from the opposite direction that he's escaping, all right, we need once again, we need to scrape paint off his ass. Keep our eyes on a swivel, identify our key blockers and avoid him off his ass, get back in our lane. Same drill, and coach could be right behind the defender, the kickoff man, and he could direct exactly how he wants the schemes utilized. Either he's gonna show the 3 blockers a cross block technique, or they're gonna perform a trap technique. And here's a little gauntlet that we can go through. All right, that we can utilize. We can utilize 3 avoid techniques and finish with a shimmy tackle. I'm just giving you ideas out there, guys. Yeah, anything that you guys seem fit, utilize it. Invent a drill. That's what I usually do. Steal a drill. Whatever stop I've been through, I take out my little notepad and mark the drill down, keep it in my bank. Okay. And once again, here it is in a nutshell. We want to make sure we know the approach, identify the kicker's approach. We want to take the line with speed. The first 20 yards, we're full speed and we're identifying with our eyes on a swivel of potential and key blockers. The next 20 yards is, once we've identified our blockers, we need to avoid. Any potential blocker ass first. Now, what I call wiggle is stemming. A receiver stems, all right, to break the DB's cushion. We can do the same thing, but we cannot stem too far out of our lanes. We can attack the shade of that blocker, right, to create more space for us, but I don't recommend more than 3 yards, getting 3 yards off our lanes. We need to stem him, avoid him, get back in our lane, and onto the collision and tackle zone. Gentlemen, hold on. There we go. Is there any questions with what we spoke about or what we've seen today?
So, Coach, we do have a few questions. So, first question is in the actual selection of individuals that you put on your kickoff team and the skill set you're looking for guys to be successful on the kickoff team, what characteristics and what type of positions are you looking to be effective on the kickoff team?
Listen, we basically when we're talking kickoff team, it's going to be defensive players. They need to know how to move in space. And most of the drills that we spoke about, they sound primarily, like defensive drills: avoiding, shooting, tackling, ripping, replacing. All those terms, all those skills are defensive players. Now, our gunners, our 4 or 5 gunners, primarily, we want them to be linebackers. We want them to be bigger size DBs. Our contained players could be, smaller size, and our safeties could be smaller size defensive or receivers, running back type players.
Next question, Coach, is thoughts on weaving down the field and who would you use on the kickoff and weaving in your kickoff?
Basically, it would be my gunners. My gunners would be stemmers, weavers, wigglers, as we call it.
Right.
That's what it's called, wigglers. We wiggle. If a blocker's coming to from your right side, all right, I'd compare that to, a DB playing inside man technique. So I would weave him towards that shade, towards the right side, stop his feet. Then I would avoid him, either beat him with speed across his face or avoid him off his ass. If he's crossing my face, I would avoid him off his ass, get back in my lane, and continue down into the collision zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So next question we have, Coach, is does the placement of the kick in the strategy of the kickoff determine different technique or approaches for your kickoff team?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, speed is essential in everything we do. Obviously, if we're going to moonshot or kick the ball opposite, that's an alert. All our kids, they change. Obviously, they would change their pursuit lanes. If we're kicking opposite, they would change their pursuit lanes if we're kicking moonshot. So no, but it wouldn't change anything. If they do have a good returner, we'll game plan that. We'll kick away from him. We'll kick shorter. We'll moonshot it. We'll try to change the kick point. So we will offset and confuse their blocking schemes.
In terms of hands team situations where we're trying to kick short or trying to make turnovers on this the kickoff team, are you adjusting your personnel completely, or are you just adjusting the formation?
I'm adjusting personnel and formation. That's a very good question. You need to put people who are, first of all, I will adjust my formation, and I will have, most probably in a game, I will go in with 3 short kicks. But I mean, I'm not going to change much during the year. We'll have those in the bank for the rest of the year, and we'll practice them throughout the year. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to confuse the hands team. I'm trying to make them separate by movement behind the line of scrimmage. But we are going to a specific location with the ball. And I will change my personnel. I need guys who are able to catch the ball in traffic. There, we can utilize more receivers. We can utilize kids who are bigger DBs, kids who have good hands and are able to catch the ball in traffic.
So the next question, Coach, we have is in terms of your kickoff team, is everyone in specific lanes, or are they positioned based off of landmarks on the field, leverage of the returner? How are you adapting your coverage lanes?
We'll start off with locations on field in the speed zone, and then we will listen. If you're a gunner, you've got a landmark in the speed zone and the avoid zone, and then you're adjusting to the returner. Same thing with contain. Safeties have landmarks on the field, but contain will they are running to landmarks in their speed zone, avoiding, and then they're adjusting to the ball carrier, depending where the return scheme is. The safeties, they will have landmarks on the football field, and they will most probably won't deviate them by much.
Coach, in terms of your overall philosophy on special teams, how would you characterize your philosophy in kind of just as a, not just kickoff specifically, but as a whole for your special teams philosophy?
Absolutely. We are an attack. We're going to attack. We're really going to attack. We're going to be the hammer, and we're going to have fun doing it. We will put pressure on the punt team. We're going to come after them, and I like to be very aggressive, and that's paid dividends. It's all, listen, there's going to be, you've got to go and sit down and talk to your head coach, talk to him about your philosophy, what you want to do. And I learned this early on in my career. If your head coach, is not a gambler, he doesn't like to fake punt. Why would you practice? Why would you spend 5 minutes of your 20-minute period a week on punt going through your fakes? You know what I mean? I rather work on my coverage. I rather work on my protection. So you've got to identify that. Now, when you're putting pressure, obviously there's going to be times when you're going to get a roughing the punter, and your head coach has to understand that. If we're going to go after punters, there's going to be, some unfortunate incidents. You're trying to control that. You're trying to make them understand where their lane is, where the block point is, how to approach the punter. But you also have to, your coach and yourself has to understand, if you're going to be aggressive, there's going to be times where you're going to make some contact with the punter. So you're going to have to live with that also, So yes, I am ultra aggressive. The kids love that. We love that. We want to make sure we get after them. We want to make sure it's fun on special teams, and kids want to buy into everything you're doing.
It's interesting you say, we've talked a lot about this weekend, understanding the analytics of, what you do, who you are, and, you talk about in practice, why practice a whole bunch of fakes if you're not gonna necessarily do them in a game. And I think one of the big themes that we've seen across the whole board is knowing who you are, what you do, and practicing it, and being good with that, and being okay with that. The next question that we have is, how important is it for a special teams coordinator and a head coach to be aligned in the decision-making process on special? Because a lot of times it's, you get the third down, special teams coordinator, if you like to be ultra aggressive or you want to fake, looking to the head coach to make that decision and being okay. How important is that relationship between the head coach and the special teams coordinator?
That doesn't, great question. That does not happen on game day. That happens during the week. Whether you're putting in your game plan on Mondays and Tuesdays, or whether you sit down on Thursday nights, you need to sit down with your coaching staff, with your coordinators, and you've got to talk about fake zones, field goal zones, when you're comfortable going for it, when you're when we're going to put on our punt safety, when the other team's potential fake punt is going to occur. the zones that will occur, the down and distances that's going to occur. That's when our punt safe team, that's when our defense stays on. When the percentages, when do we want to fake it on punt? What is the cutoff point on field goal? Who their returners are? All that has to be discussed, during the week, and everything has to be clear. There cannot be any surprises during game day. I mean, yes, you and the head man has to be, especially nowadays. A lot of head coaches are either DCs or OCs, so you've got to be highly in tune with him, and there cannot be any guessing out there or surprises.
So, Coach, the last question that I have for you is, this morning we talked to Darryl Wheeler and Liram about kicking and just the incredible importance of, the hidden yards in the game. How much does it affect you as a coordinator, the level of skill of your kicking game specifically? Like, depending on the year, especially in the younger ages of community, consistency in kicking can be, a variable that's not always easy to control. How much does that affect how you actually game plan based on the quality of kicking that you actually get on a day-to-day basis?
Listen, I feel for the lower level guys. I really do. But you need to adjust your coverage teams according to where your punter is gonna. Again, you need to know where does he punt. I want the ball outside the numbers, But if my punter or kicker can't do that on our punt and kickoff team, I've got to adjust my coverages and I've got to adjust my schemes according to him. It's ultra important, So yes, at the lower levels, you have to do the same thing. You have to identify what your kicker can do and what your punter can do. And then you've got to adjust your coverages according to, the location that he's able to kick or punt.
Special teams, 1/3 of the game, can win you a ton of games if done well. And, Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk about kickoff coverage, talk about, how we can get down, make plays, and just talking about special teams in general. Really appreciate the time.
I appreciate your time, guys. And hopefully we'll see each other down on the football field coming soon.